Hare Krishna. We are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute. You're on text 21. Yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayarchitum ichchati tasya chalam shraddham tam eva vidadhami aham. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we can see here, for example, Srila Prabhupada, he gives the dictionary meanings of each and every word. Each and every word, he's giving the dictionary meaning. So I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. We were just hearing in Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila Dev is saying to Devahuti that the Paramatma in the heart, that's God, that's Lord Vishnu. So Krishna is saying the same thing. Krishna is saying, I'm in everyone's heart as the super soul. Krishna is the original person. Lord Vishnu is his expansion. So it's the same. Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, no difference. And Krishna is saying, I am the Paramatma in everyone's heart. And yesterday we were hearing Krishna says that whoever is worshipping the demigods, their intelligence is bewildered, means their intelligence is lost. They're not properly utilizing his intelligence. Now he's continuing to say, see that I'm the Paramatma. And as soon as I see that somebody has a desire to worship a particular demigod, what do? I make his faith steady so that this person's faith in that particular demigod becomes like fixed. He can devote himself to that particular demigod. We can see, so that means the demigod worshippers, they have that strong faith in that particular demigod, for example, worshippers of God Ganesh, for example. So we see some of them have this real strong faith in Lord Ganesh. And so Krishna is saying that I'm making this faith strong. I'm the Paramatma in the heart, so I know everyone's desires. We may think nobody knows what I'm thinking or what my desires are, but Krishna knows. And so when he sees that somebody has a desire to worship a particular demigod, Krishna makes this faith stronger. God has given independence to everyone. Therefore, if a person desires to have material enjoyment, and wants very sincerely to have such facilities from the material demigods, the Supreme Lord, as Super Soul in everyone's heart, understands and gives facilities to such persons. So Krishna does not interfere in our independence. He does not interfere in our free will. Our independence, our free will is either we want to be with Krishna or we want to reject Krishna. That is the only independence that we have. We want to be with Krishna or we want to reject Krishna. When we want to reject Krishna, that is material life. When we want to be with Krishna, that is a spiritual life. So the Paramatma, he knows what is our desire and he makes the arrangements to fulfill our desires. That's the function of the Paramatma in the material world. He's with us, fulfilling our desires, sanctioning our activities, making the arrangements for us. As the Supreme Father of all living entities, he does not interfere with their independence, but gives all facilities so that they can fulfill their material desires. So it's not that Krishna puts a gun on our head and says, hey, you better choose me or I'll pull the trigger. He doesn't do that. If he did that, then there would be no meaning to love. When we love someone, we give them this independence to either they want to love us or they don't want to love us. We can't force someone to love us. Similarly, Krishna is the same way. He does not force us to love him. Although each and every one of us has this original love for God, love of God in our heart. So then some may ask why the all-powerful God gives facilities to the living entities for enjoying this material world. and so lets them fall into the trap of the illusory energy? The answer is that if the Supreme Lord as Super Soul does not give such facilities, then there is no meaning to independence. Therefore, he gives everyone full independence, whatever one likes. But his ultimate instruction we find in the Bhagavad Gita: one should give up all other engagements and fully surrender unto him. That will make man happy. So Krishna has given us the complete independence. And we have a choice that should we use our independence correctly, or should we misuse our independence? And to help us make correct choices, Krishna has left behind for us scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Isopanishad. He's left these behind for us so that we can make the correct choices. In Bhagavad Gita, he's telling to Arjuna, you just surrender unto me and you will be happy. I will take away all your sinful reactions. Do not fear. Krishna says, don't fear. Krishna is not forcing Arjuna, you must surrender unto me. No, Krishna gave the knowledge, spoke the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Then he told Arjuna, now the choice is yours. It's your choice. You want to act on my direction as my instrument, or you want to act independently out of your own material desires. The choice is yours. If you act according to my direction, you will be happy. And if you act according to your material desires, you will continue to be bewildered in this material world. So, both the living entity and the demigods are subordinate to the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the living entity cannot worship the demigod by his own desire, nor can the demigod bestow any benediction without the supreme will. So, like for example, the Minister of Agriculture or Minister of Education, the Minister of Transport, in them is vested certain powers. The president of the country vests some kind of a power to them. So their power is not independent. Yes, sure, they do have certain powers because of the post that they are in. But the power they're getting is from the president. This is something we have to understand, that the demigods, they are not gods. They are living entities like you and me, but they are very qualified. They are, of course, devotees, because if they were not devotees, they would not be qualified to be demigods. They are in very responsible positions. They are devotees, but they are not God. And God has given them certain powers, that, okay, you can fulfill this kind of wishes, you can fulfill this, you can fulfill, Krishna has given them the powers which they have. So as it is said, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There was a time where the demigods had become proud. So Krishna goes to visit them. And then somehow, I don't remember the exact thing, but somehow there was a conversation and there was a blade of grass. So now the demigods had become so proud that they thought they can act independent of Krishna. So then it was, okay, so move this blade of grass then. And they all tried. The wind tried. What is a blade of grass? If there's a heavy gust of wind, in one moment it can fly away so far. At that time, Vayu tried. He tried and tried. He couldn't move it an inch. All others tried. Indra, all the demigods tried to move it. Couldn't move. So that's the reason not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when Krishna willed it, it moved. So it goes to say that the demigods, they do not have their independent powers. They are great personalities. They are worthy of all our respect, But we should understand that they are not God and that they are doing a certain duty in the management of the universe. That is there. They are in one of the they are in the administration of the universe. So generally, persons who are distressed in the material world go to the demigods as they are advised in the Vedic literature. A person wanting some particular thing may worship such and such a demigod. For example, a diseased person, when recommended to worship the sun god, a person wanting education may worship the goddess of learning, Saraswati, and a person wanting a beautiful wife may worship the goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. In this way, there are recommendations in the Shastras, Vedic scriptures, for different modes of worship of different demigods. So the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, which is a huge section of the Vedas, it tells us, you want this, you want a beautiful wife, you worship Durga Devi, you want good education, you worship Saraswati Devi, you want good health, you worship the sun god. All this is there in the Vedas. But we have to understand that Krishna is the original speaker of the Vedas. And 5,000 years ago, he's left this instruction of the Bhagavad Gita that you surrender to me, don't worship the demigods. He's saying, because he knows our lives are short, our minds are very fickle, we don't have the qualifications. So, and because a particular living entity wants to enjoy a particular material facility, the Lord inspires him with a strong desire to achieve that benediction from that particular demigod. And so he successfully receives the benediction. So because of our desire, we have a desire to enjoy in a particular way. So Krishna makes our faith stronger in that particular demigod. The particular mode of the devotional attitude of the living entity toward a particular type of demigod is also arranged by the Supreme Lord. The demigods cannot infuse the living entities with such an affinity, but because he is the Supreme Lord, or the super soul who's present in the hearts of all living entities, Krishna gives impetus to man to worship certain demigods. So the demigods cannot influence us to worship them. They don't. In fact, the demigods, they don't want us to worship them. The demigods themselves are worshiping Krishna. They are devotees of Krishna. They want us also to become devotees of Krishna. The demigods, if they see we are becoming devotees of Krishna, will help us in our endeavor to worship Krishna. They're happy when we become devotees of Krishna. They're not happy when we worship them for a boon, for material desire. That they don't like it. That's like bribing a government officer. But now, of course, it is so corrupt. People like to be bribed, but the demigods are not corrupt. So Krishna gives impetus to worship certain demigods. The demigods are actually different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they have no independence. So what does this mean? That they are in charge of different departments for the proper functioning of the universe. The sun god, he is in charge of the sun planet. The moon god is in charge of the moon planet. The Lord Indra, he's in charge of the rains. The Lord Varuna is in charge of the waters. So they are assisting. They're managers, administrative managers on different departments of the universe. They don't act independently. Imagine if a minister acts independent of the president, he'll be thrown out. He'll be thrown out. Similarly, the demigods follow the laws of God. In the Vedic literature, it is stated the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Super Soul is also present within the heart of the demigod. Therefore, he arranges through the demigod to fulfill the desire of the living entity. But both the demigod and the living entity are dependent on the supreme will. They are not independent. So Krishna as the Paramatma is in the heart of the living entity, and Krishna as Paramatma is also in the heart of the demigod. So Krishna sees that, oh, this living entity has a particular desire. And so he makes his faith strong in a particular demigod. He makes him worship that demigod. So because to fulfill this desire. Krishna does not influence our desire. Huh? Desires are completely, we are responsible for our desire. Krishna simply facilitates the fulfillment of our desire. And then when this living entity worships the demigod, then the Paramatma is also in the heart of the demigod. And Krishna is the Paramatma in the heart of the demigod. He inspires the demigod to give the benediction to fulfill the desire of the living entity. So we can see nothing, no one is independent of Krishna. Each and every one of us are completely dependent on the Supreme Lord. We're completely dependent. So the more we hear and chant, the Lord Chaitanya has given us this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The more we chant, the more quickly we can revive our love of God. You know, it is a special benediction for this age of Kali Yuga, especially for us. So we should take up this chanting very, very enthusiastically, very sincerely, and revive our relationship with God. Is that okay?
Yes, okay. Actually, I just want to know, like, the people who are chanting and the people who are surrounding of them and they are not chanting. So they are partially also affected by hearing that, right?
That's right. Of course.
So
yes.
Maybe slowly they will know the actual, not actually, but partially know about the Krishna, right?
That again, you know, they will know, but whether they'll take up devotional service or no, that's their desire, because Krishna does not interfere with our desire. But yes, they are being greatly benefited when somebody's chanting. Everyone around them is greatly benefited. The entire universe is benefited when one is chanting the holy name, because the sound vibration stays, it's not lost. So yes, when you're chanting and your family members are hearing, it's a great service for them that you are doing. It's a great service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good that you're doing that. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Yes, keep chanting. Keep chanting. Keep chanting. Hare Bol.